PRS and Ted McCarty's estate suing Gibson over some trademarks here.
Whoa.
But stay tuned, Gibson's suing back. They will not be undone by this, because that's what guitar companies do sometimes. Hey, it's me, Baxter.
And me, Jonathan.
So we're here to talk lawsuits, because why wouldn't you want to hear about that? It's
course.
like, you know, ever since Johnny Depp and Amber Heard wrapped up, I've been kind of like lonely for lawsuits.
That's fair.
That was like the O.J. Simpson of this generation.
Yeah, yeah.
That's sort of sad. That's
Just, you know.
That's how sad it was, because that was actually about like a horrible, horrible double homicide, and this was just about like a toxic relationship.
You know, and defecating in the bed.
But maybe that's kind of what's going on here a little bit. So,
Maybe.
So PRS is in partnership with, you know, Ted McCarty's estate some after he left Gibson. He was there for quite a while. He designed a few of the iconic guitars that you might have heard of, like the Les Paul, the SG. You know, what else we got there? You know, like the Flying V, the Explorers, all those like those cool guitars and stuff.
He did a few things.
Just a few things that Gibson's known for. But he helped also. He jumped over to PRS and helped
The McCarty model.
And that was like 90. I feel like 95.
Contrary to popular belief, not the Paul McCartney signature model. It's the Ted McCarty.
Which we've had someone in the shop say, and we were all watching him tell us.
More than once, to be fair.
And we never correct them, because we don't want to embarrass anybody in front of their family. And be like, no.
That's you guys heard of the Beatles? But
Your
yeah.
husband is foolish. No, but he's not.
Anyways.
It's a cool story. We like
Paul
that.
McCarty.
So, so Ted was over there from 48 to like the 60s. And then from 50 to 66, it was like sort of like the golden era of Gibson, right? And so now that this new Theodore came out, a few years ago from Gibson, and that sort of launched the lawsuit. And that sort of became the problem.
The lawsuit's recent though, right? It hadn't been going on. Or has it been going on?
I'm not sure when it was actually filed, but they started filing, like I think immediately, then they put all the stuff together and it's gone on.
There were probably like letters back and forth first, I imagine.
But it's not like recent. It's been under works for a little bit.
Right.
And so it's confusing and sort of silly, but I'll see if I can break it down a little bit. They're suing that because they're confused that having the Theodore or anything with Ted McCarty sort of confuses people's brand identity with the McCarty at PRS. It's just, I mean, I don't know. What do you think? That makes sense?
I mean, I understand.
The Gibson, they're saying Gibson does not have the right to use his name or public personality or persona because he was only there for a certain period.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's complicated, right? Because I feel like Gibson sues people. like what's the company that kept suing? The Dimebag Darrell people, Dean.
Yeah,
so it's not like Gibson. Maybe this is some karma kind of thing. Reap what you sow, sort of situation.
Well, Gibson's claiming that Ted McCarty's name is not known in the history of the guitar world as much, as well, to where having the Theodore, which was his nickname or whatever, used is that confusing, comparing it with the McCarty brand.
I don't feel like it's that confusing, and I feel like. I don't know. Probably if you know much about guitars, if you're buying a core PRS, well, you probably know Ted McCarty had some sort of relationship with Gibson. So I don't know that I find it that confusing, to be honest.
Okay.
And I mean, I think I know there is no Gibson McCarty or like McCarty 9594.
No,
so I just,
because it's the Les Paul. Or it's the SG.
Exactly.
He doesn't. It's not. It's named those other things that we know and love. So each party was sort of arguing for, Gibson's arguing for dismissal of this.
Right.
And then in June of 23, then they fired a counterclaim, and having this paired together in the same claim though. So they wanted to sue against PRS for their Silver Sky Nebula in particular. So I know how these connect. It doesn't make sense to me either. But saying they can't use the Nebula, the Silver Sky, because it connects to their Silver Burst.
So it's a contest
silver
of who can be the most ridiculous and asinine. That's what it is, right?
That is not legalese, and I disagree.
I mean,
there are. I mean, yes, that is the obvious answer there. But there's points to where some of this I'm gonna sort of argue in pro of in a moment. It's hard. I'm gonna try.
So they connect. I feel like I could have made a better connection than, oh, it's a silver burst and a silver sky. I mean, because the silver skies aren't silver burst.
I know it's just the name, but it's the same. It goes back to the name.
That's dumb.
Like sort of how that McCarty is sort of tied back in that. But so this was in June of 23 when they sort of filed that part. Then December of last year, right before the new year, the courts severed the two, so now they're two separate cases. So like these have nothing to do with each other.
Oh my God.
Which is true, they don't really. It's sort of a tit for tat type thing.
This is why people hate lawyers. Because this should not be in the court system. But hey, whatever.
So Gibson's trying to sue for the cancellation of the trademark for the Silver Sky Nebula, which is funny because the Silver Sky Nebula is not made anymore. It was a limited edition, made 500 pieces of it only. It's the same as the Theodore.
But only the Nebula.
Right, just the Nebula, not the Silver Sky.
And the Theodore is not being made anymore.
Correct. Now you're saying, why would they be suing over this?
What? Baxter, why would they be suing over this?
Well, I think they're suing because I think guitar manufacturers have learned the hard lesson. Let's take Fender, for example.
Okay.
What is the most widely copied shape of a guitar ever?
Stratocaster.
Correct. They never sort of protected that shape years ago.
Okay.
You know, the only thing they could get was the headstock.
Right.
And everybody's sort of done these amalgamation monstrosities of the Fender Stratocaster headstock.
Yep.
We've seen some, we've carried some. But
luckily, neither of these companies have been involved in that.
no, but I mean, I think PRS and Gibson are going to side up together and sue against the Stratocaster for having the letter S.
The joke was that both Gibson and PRS have a Strat copy, but whatever. One to varying degrees of success.
So I think they're doing this to sort of set a precedence more, to where they're trying to protect, because I think PRS wants to keep their McCarty safe.
Okay.
And like, so as they develop more McCarty lines down the future or something, because they launched the SE last year, I believe.
I think because the McCarty, you know, it is one of my favorite. It's probably my favorite, and it you know, that's a huge chunk of what they make, marketing wise. Well, and you correct me, I could be wrong, but maybe I'm misremembering this. There's been lawsuits between these two companies in the past with the single cut, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean,
because it's a Les Paul looking guitar, and then you look at the non-single cut, it's a Stratocaster looking guitar. It's sort of funny. So what would happen if both of these cases were won by the suing parties? So the Silver Sky Nebula would be forced to never be recreated again, so they could never reissue it with that finish, which I don't know if they would, because that finish was extremely expensive and a really fancy paint that did this cool.
And it was a limited thing. I don't see them doing
which
that,
is expensive too.
Right.
They can just pick any other paint, call it a day, and then it would keep Gibson from having anything like with Theodore and the McCarty type of nomenclature on it as well. Is it a big loss for the industry in either way?
Probably not.
But the good news is a bunch of lawyers are getting rich off of this right now.
That's what I'm happy about.
So
honestly.
It does feed the lawyers. So, but no, it's a funny case. That's why we're bringing it up, because this is what happens behind the scenes in the musical industry. Is like there's this whole legal team, and we've been the brunt of it too before. We've gotten cease and desist letters from other major players in the guitar world, because like if you say something they don't like, they'll send you.
Which is a little weird, but
it was really weird. It was really funny. I won't say who it was, but you can probably
concerning the first time.
It was concerning. I actually talked to a lawyer about it. He's like, "Yeah, you definitely win this. This is just a threat." I was like, "Cool. How much does this cost? Like $10,000 to win?" I'm willing to go for that. He's like, "Nah, it's more like $75,000." I'm like, "Yeah, okay, they can have it. We'll step away for that one.
Leave it be. Leave it be."
No, so we're gonna watch this and sort of see how this plays out. But this is something that's happening all the time. This is just the latest that we've sort of seen pop up. Every manufacturer, major guitar maker, has sort of ongoing suits against various makers. Gibson always has some stuff.
I mean, it's
has
always
some stuff. PRS has some stuff. But at the end, there's sort of their legal teams jockeying to protect their brand integrity.
And I get
intellectual
that.
property. So I can understand it in that respect.
It's just funny, like you say, this stuff is always going on in the background, and then occasionally, you know, a guitar website or someone or a guitar shop with a YouTube channel sees it and like puts it out, and it becomes a thing for a moment, you know.
This one's we sort of enjoyed talking about because it's particularly funny.
It is funny
because it's just about two guitars that are not being made at this point anymore. They're both limited editions.
I mean, at least this one, right, is two of the big boys like kind of slugging it out. It's not a.
It's not a punching down on the little guy trying to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a funny little story right now, and we'll sort of see how it wraps up. I hope everyone just dismisses it eventually, and they all make friends.
Should you care? Will it affect your life? No.
Possibly.
Oh.
If you're a part of the legal team working on this, you want this lawsuit to go on continually. You're
like, God, I hope they redo that Theodore guitar. I just can't wait.
Paying for my kids' college because of that lawsuit. It's awesome. But let us know your thoughts. We think it's funny. It's a little bit silly, but that's part of what makes this industry and our joy of talking to our friends out there in these games on fun.
It's true.
Okay, click like, subscribe.
Hit the bell.
Peace as always be with thee.